Hey guys, today I am talking about the NASM CPT exam. So I literally just took this exam. I finished it like an hour and a half ago. I didn't plan on making a video about my experience with the exam just because there are so many out there already, and they're really helpful. But as I was taking the exam, it was a little different from what I expected. So I figured, I might as well let y'all know what my experience was. Maybe it'll help. And of course, I don't know how often they change the exam or if all the students get the same exam. So just keep that in mind. It might not be the exact same as yours. I did the guided study package. It has the exam, obviously, the video lectures, different activities to do, quizzes, study guide. I didn't even realize this until now, but all the stuff that I got in the guided study that the premium self-study didn't have, I didn't even use. And honestly, now that I'm looking at it, the only thing that the premium self-study has that was helpful, that the self-study didn't have, is the learning activities. Learning activities actually were really helpful. So, but are they necessary to pass? No, they're not, because plenty of people have passed with the self-study. So, get the self-study. So yeah, there's a breakdown with that. Choose whichever one works for you, but don't think that you can't pass with the self-study, because you definitely can. Now for how I studied. Basically, I went through the guided study like they suggest. Did all the activities, did the quizzes, read the material, and went over all of it throughout the time period that I was in the course. And then for a few months, I kind of didn't even think about it or look at it until a month out from my exam. And I was like, I probably need to start looking at that stuff again. So a month out from the exam, I went through all of the chapters again, totally went all the way through it, made notes, made flashcards, and took all the quizzes again, did all the activities again. And then once I had gone through all of the chapters, and it took about 2 weeks, to actually do it in a way that my brain could handle. So I went through all of it again, and then took my first practice test. And I passed the first practice test, but it was a little close for comfort. So at that point, I watched one of the YouTube videos, I think by Miss Maddie Fit. I'll link her channel down below. And she had a really helpful video. So I went through all the stuff that she talked about, looked at all the topics that she stressed were on her exam, and made sure that I understood them. And then I took the other practice test, and I just kept going back to my practice tests and looking over everything that I got right, everything that I got wrong, and making sure that even the stuff that I guessed on, that I knew it, and not only knew it, but understood it. So the practice tests were really helpful, but the actual exam was a lot trickier than the practice tests. So when you get done with the exam, they don't tell you the actual number score. It's just pass or didn't pass. So I don't know how well I did. I don't know if I was overthinking a lot of it or if it actually was trickier. They do make it pretty easy to overthink the questions, if that makes sense. Most of the questions, there were 2 or 3 parts that you're oh wait, am I supposed to be focusing on this part of the question or this part of the question? I don't know. They just made it kind of tricky. So don't think that you're gonna go in and it's gonna be super easy. I think the thing that I would stress the very most is that you can't just memorize the information. You really have to understand it, which that's good. It's good that it's not just a memorization thing, and that they make it difficult enough to where you actually have to understand, because we need to understand this stuff if we're going to be professionals in the industry. definitely know the OPT model. Flexibility was super heavily tested on the exam. I would read through the flexibility chapter and make sure you know every single thing. I feel like there were at least 7 questions on flexibility alone, maybe even like 10. Sets, reps, intensity, volume, all of that goes with each phase of the OPT model. Know those. Blood pressure was on it, diastolic, systolic. There was a question about stroke volume. Special populations wasn't on it much at all. There wasn't a question about pregnancy. I think there was a question or two about a client with hypertension. There was one muscles as movers question, so like talking about, you know, if you're doing an overhead press, which muscle is the antagonist or something like that. So, you know those things. There wasn't anything on fast twitch, slow twitch. There was one question on energy systems that was really tricky, and I don't know if I got this one right or not, but go over glycolysis, oxidative, ATP. So know that. There wasn't a question on endomysium, paramecium, epimecium. I studied that, and that wasn't there. Blood flow through the heart, that was on there. Definitely know that. There was just one question, but they did it in a way that was kind of tricky. So just like make sure you understand where the blood comes in and goes out, and like what actually is happening to the blood when it's going through the heart. Like, is it getting oxygenated, or deoxygenated? Just make sure you do understand blood flow through the heart. There wasn't anything about like arteries or veins. There were definitely some questions on the Golgi tendon organs, but that's, within flexibility, so definitely no flexibility. I don't think there was anything on mechanoreceptors. Definitely no, like, concentric and eccentric and isotonic, isometric, all that good stuff. Force couple relationships and length tension relationships were on there. Definitely know and understand like adduction and abduction, internal and external rotation, like as they happen in the body. There's a page in the book that has like a picture of all of those things, so go over that, make sure you understand that. Assessments was definitely on there. There were even a few questions on some of the more obscure assessments that I didn't worry about learning. The bench press strength assessment, there were 2 questions on that one that I don't know if I got those right or not. There were like 4 or 5 questions on subjective and objective information, which is good because I feel like those are kind of like gimme questions. Definitely know the different postures and like overhead squat and single leg squat, and I'll give y'all like a study tool for like how to think about that in a more like simplified manner. I'll go over that after I get through everything that was on my test. Know the FIT model, the FITTE, frequency, enjoyment, all of that good stuff. Heart rate zones was definitely on there. Know like what the heart rate max is for each of the different phases of the OPT model, and like what phase goes with the heart rate zone. There wasn't much nutrition on there at all. There might have been maybe like one question about lipids, which I probably got wrong. There wasn't any dietary reference questions. SMART goals was definitely on there. One thing that surprised me a lot about the content of the exam was that there was a lot on, like I said, there was a lot on flexibility. There was a lot on client-trainer interaction. So definitely know all the different stages of change, and know all about active listening and the different kinds of support that you can give someone or that someone can receive, and then even the different cognitive behavioral methods that you can use with clients. Know all of that. There were a lot more questions on that than I expected. Anatomical positions, that was on there. Like distal and superior, inferior, all of that good stuff. There were definitely questions on how to like be a professional in the industry and like what standards to hold yourself to. Honestly, when it came down to it during the exam, I was just thankful that I actually understood all of the information and that I hadn't just like banked on it being just like the practice test or just like the quizzes, because it wasn't. So I think what is the most intimidating thing about the entire course is, sorry, I thought I heard something at my door, but the most intimidating thing about the entire course, I think, is just like the body and the different muscles and stuff. So a way to think about like what is underactive and what's overactive, what's being lengthened or shortened. So first of all, if something is overactive, it is being shortened, and that means that, and the question might say that what needs to be stretched. So if it's overactive, it's being shortened and it needs to be stretched. If it's underactive, it's being lengthened and you don't need to stretch it. So, which I don't think you'll have any questions about like not needing to stretch something, but that's, you know, it's just a part of it. When it comes to the different postures and the assessments, the soleus is never going to be underactive. It's always going to be overactive. The gastrocnemius will always be overactive, except for the gastrocmedius will be underactive in one of them. I can't think of which one it is, but in all the other ones, the gastrocnemius, like the not lateral or medius or anything, gastrocnemius is always overactive. Bicep femoris, always overactive. Adductor complex, always overactive. The glutes are always underactive in everything. TFL, always overactive. The abs, anything core related or anything like ab related, whether that's the internal obliques or the transverse abdominis, are always going to be underactive except in excessive forward lean. They're overactive in excessive forward lean. Erector spinae and hip flexor complex are always going to be overactive. Lats will always be overactive. Rhomboids and mid and lower traps will always be underactive. Upper traps, pecs, and neck muscles will always be underactive. So to me, that was a much easier way to remember it than thinking like, okay, in this thing, these muscles are overactive. In this, and like pronation distortion syndrome, all of this is going to be underactive. It's look more at the specific muscle rather than the actual assessment, at least for the exam. It's much easier just to think like, okay, erector spinae, if it's manifested or whatever in this assessment, it's going to be overactive. Lats, always overactive. Glutes, always underactive. That alone helped a lot because I was really worried about those questions. And I'll put all of this information, everything, down in the description box. So yeah, that was basically my experience. One thing you should know is that there are some research questions on the exam. So there's 120 questions and 20 of them are research questions and they don't count. It's kind of hard to know which ones are which. There were some questions about CPR and I'm pretty sure those are research questions. You could tell for some of them, but for some of them you couldn't. So, but that's just like a good thing to know going into the test, that 20 of them are research questions and don't even count. But go check out Miss Maddie Phipps' video because hers was really helpful for me. And I think things might have changed since 2016, I don't know, but because according to her video, and I think she got this information from NASM, was that it was going to be 25 questions on assessment, 25 questions on exercise technique, 25 on program design, 10 on nutrition, 10 on client relation, and 5 on professional development. And there definitely weren't 10 on nutrition. There were a lot on client relation. So honestly, just go through all the stuff that I said. I would look at her video and go through probably all of that stuff as well. Take the practice tests. I took both of them once and then took one of them again and just like kept going over the practice tests. And I think that is what helped me out the most, was just going over those, making sure that I understood all of it. So like if there was one that I got wrong, I would go back to that topic in the book and read through it again and make sure I understood it. I felt like the practice tests gave a good idea of at least the topics that were going to be on the test. So definitely do those. And obviously, good luck. You'll do fine. Just make sure that you like understand the material, and you got it. You're gonna be a great personal trainer. You know, just go knock them dead. If this video was helpful, give it a like. That would be awesome. Comment down below if it helps. If you have any questions, you can comment them down below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And thank you so much for watching this video. I really, like I said, I really hope it helps. And yeah, just good luck. You got it. Don't be too nervous. Eat before the exam. Study a good bit, and you got it. Go be an awesome personal trainer. Bye.